Welcome to Ups and Downs, the podcast that shares successful and not that successful stories from the entrepreneurial world of Oulu, Finland. Today, in our new studio, we have Juho Helin. Welcome, Juho.
Thank you, Ruslan.
Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. How are
No,
you doing? How are the holidays? How are the holidays going?
doing well. It's cold, but it's Finland after all. So I think we will manage. It's all after all.
Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you mind introducing yourself briefly?
Mhm. Sure. I'm Juho Helin. I'm an entrepreneur from Tampere, and I do come to Oulu every once in a while to visit my family. And I plan on kind of infiltrating the Oulu startup community as well because I'm kind of heavily involved in the Tampere one. So I do like what I do is basically digitalization of companies. So that means making websites. That means like giving consulting on websites and yeah, um, I would say that kind of stuff. Coding and everything to do with digitalizing a company.
Can you share a bit more about your background, how you
Mm.
started your coding journey?
I started it just learning code. So I never went to school to study that. I learned it through online courses. At first, I actually wanted to be an artist, and well, that didn't work out. But it led me to a gaming company. I got an internship there. It was in Oulu actually, while I was living here, and there I met these really good coders who kind of got me on track and got me started on that. And then after I left the gaming company, I, you know, started to learn web development on my
Okay.
own as well. And that led me to a job in Tampere, and that's where I'm living currently.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe? I don't know dates, times, something like that.
Around 5 years ago.
So 5, 6 years, something like that.
So you wanted to become an artist.
Yeah, that was the first dream I had.
Okay. What challenges you faced?
Well, I didn't go to arts. Like the way I learn stuff is, I don't know if this is really, really stupid or really good, but I don't go to, or I didn't know any other artists, so I was just at home looking at online tutorials. There's a
Mm-hmm.
guy on YouTube called Proco who has really good art tutorials. And I would just draw every single day and just that was my life basically. And yeah, it did it like I realized after a while that okay, I think artists don't get paid that much, and this is a long and brutal road,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's not that I still like to doodle, but I'm not doing it seriously.
From artist to coding. And then you mentioned that you had like an internship
Hmm.
in a company here.
Yeah, it's I don't know if they're still around. It was called Bell Games,
Okay.
and they make like children's mobile games. Oh, that's what we were working on.
Mm-hmm. In which department were you?
Well, I was kind of like the generalist. I guess I started out as the artist, the game artist,
Mm-hmm.
but then pretty soon there wasn't that much for me to do. So they, one of the coders, I think, asked me like, "Hey, do you wanna work on this mini game?"
Okay.
And then I started to learn C Sharp and Unity uh, to make that mini game.
All right. And how long did it? Yeah. How long it took you that to learning like C sharp?
Well, when have you learned it? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's very, let's put it this way. I learned it about 1 year, and then I went to an interview in
Okay.
a gaming company. Or it was like a challenge, and I completely, I like there was an interview process, and there was this task process. I think I didn't really pass either one, but I do remember the interviewer said to me that actually it's quite impressive what you have. Like you're not ready for this job, but it's impressive what you have managed to learn in this like
Time
just
frame. Yeah.
yeah time frame. So I guess that was I don't know anything, that's my feedback that I got.
And what advices would you give like to someone that is just starting with like a self-taught coding journey? Because it's tough, challenging, and demanding at the same
Yeah.
time.
Don't do it. So like
Don't do it.
here's my advice. Find a community, because that was the biggest mistake I did, that I thought that I didn't really, oh, I can just learn everything by myself.
Mhm.
But now that in Tampere, I run this like coding sauna event, which is it's like an event that happens where we meet up with a bunch of coders, and there I realized, oh man, I wish I would have had something like this when I was learning coding.
Okay.
So yeah, any kind of community can be online, but preferably like presence. You know, when you're meeting face to face.
Can you tell me more about like coding sauna? It
Sure.
sounds like a fun experience.
So it's just me and well these other coders, friends who I met in Tampere. We just we were sitting in this sauna and then thought, hey, um, so just I'm sure this is listened by like people who are in the startup community in Oulu. So there's something called Startup Station in Oulu, right?
Yeah.
So there's a similar place in Tampere called, well, it's Tribe Tampere, which is just a place where anyone can host events, right? And you can also go there and hang out. And it's a place where a lot of entrepreneurs and like startup companies and people working in startups hang out. So there's also a sauna there. And we were just sitting in the sauna thinking, hey, we could use this space to organize events.
Yeah.
So we started doing them, and so we would just invite a bunch of people we met, some coders or friends of friends, and then we would have a presentation and some snacks, and then we would go to the sauna.
Okay.
And the presentation would be something related to code, or like how does React framework work, or something like that.
Okay. And is it on a weekly basis, monthly, or is it
Uh
every now and then?
it was on weekly, but now it's kind of only now and then, because all of us like organizers are quite too busy to organize it.
Fair enough. And how is it going now? Like writing code as a freelancer?
I would say I enjoy it. I'm not really writing code. Well, I'm mostly doing like stuff related to WordPress and also running server. So I host a couple of websites and then like give advice on like how a website could be improved. That's what I do currently. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I think there's something to be said for working for yourself, where you don't have a boss, right?
Yeah.
It's very freeing. It's not as, let's call it, at least at my point, it's not as financially like, let's say, like you don't know when you get paid.
Okay.
Or-
Uncertain?
yeah, it's uncertain,
Okay.
but it's fun. Yeah.
And where are the places where you're finding your projects or the people that are interested to further develop or like completely build a website from the scratch?
I think I find them in the tribe or the
Okay.
they're like kind of like the business station in Oulu. A similar environment exists, and that's where
Okay.
a lot of people or they have friends who need something.
It's in person. All
So-
right. Okay. I thought that you were doing everything completely online, but
No.
point proven that the community is important.
Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
I don't think you can be an. I don't know. I'm gonna make a statement. I don't think you can be an entrepreneur. Well, you can, but it's very, very tough if you don't have a physical community. Like online communities, I mean, you don't get this interpersonal relationship. I don't think it's very hard to generate trust in an online community, I would say.
Okay. Okay. And speaking about that, what about your entrepreneurship journey? Where did it start?
It started when I went to work in a startup in Tampere,
Okay.
and that's where I got introduced. Like I didn't even know that a startup community was a thing. but then I kind of got thrown into it with the tribe Tampere, and there I met other entrepreneurs, or like people who were entrepreneurs who had their own company, and yeah, just I think you become with like you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right?
Yeah.
So you become. I guess I became like them, suppose. Like,
Speaking about communities, what do you think is the best option for people that live in remote places and there is just the community is just not existing there yet, or just the amount of people that are living there is not big enough to build like a community?
Well, I would say it's not existing yet, but you can be the one who starts building it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was thinking about this recent, like how one of my dreams actually is to understand the start, like part of the reasons why I want to visit the Oulu startup community and get involved here is because I want to understand all the moving parts that a startup community has. One, and well, a couple of things which I have identified is there. Like you usually have a place where you can host events, stuff like this. These are like the moving parts. And yeah, I want to kind of, let's say, well, I want to travel to other places. And if I travel to a city where there doesn't seem to be a startup community, with my knowledge, I'm able to create it, right? So I would say if you live in a place where there is no, well, move to a place where they exist. There might be some bigger city somewhere, and then you can move back and then create it.
Okay, fair enough. And jumping back from that, I want to speak a little bit more about the school that you're currently in.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit more about it?
Sure. So I'm studying in a school called Pro Academia, which
Okay.
is an entrepreneurial school in Tampere. And uh, so that, like, I'll explain how the school works. So when you go to the school, it's a 3.5 year program, and you get a bachelor's in business administration. And when you go there and you establish a cooperative company with your classmate, and you run that, and then you're supposed to graduate in the 3.5 years by running the company, right?
Yeah.
Well, you're supposed to do that, but I kind of I did a different route, which is, well, I got kicked out of my cooperative, which is, it was mistakes made on my part, but that kind of puts, well, because that puts the school into a weird spot because you're supposed to graduate with your team, right? But what if you are not in a team and it's in the like they can't basically kick me out of the school because it's very hard to do that in Finland. You need to have very heavy risk. It happens very rarely.
Okay.
And the other thing is, well, they get money for me graduating. Oh, it's in their interest. So they are gonna allow me to graduate, but they kind of I get to graduate solo. So I basically run my own business. Like I make websites for clients and stuff like that. And then I graduate that way. And then, well, if that is possible, then I think a lot of other students, a couple of already asked me like, hey, how are you doing that? Can I do something like that as well? And then I was like, well, I think you should. But it's like, and if I'm allowed to graduate, if I graduate like this, that's, I think other people are going to follow that. And well, I don't know. There was a solo program in the school, but it became doing basically what I'm doing. But it became too popular, so they had to shut it down. But now I've reopened it, so let's see what happens here, I guess.
And are you planning, maybe if you don't have the chance to continue finishing your education like in Tampere, to move to a different city?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Okay.
So I think Oulu is one possibility. Because I do, like I said, I want to. I want to understand the moving parts of a startup entrepreneurial community. And that means that I want to travel to other places. Like I learned from you actually that there's a startup community in Bulgaria, right?
Indeed, it is.
Or in the city that you were in Bulgaria, Sofia, right?
Sofia, yeah.
Yeah. So like my plan is I want to go international with my travels and just travel to different entrepreneurial communities,
Okay.
throughout the Europe. I think that's a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's see with my school. I think the possibility of moving it's a possibility.
Okay. Something else that I wanted to ask you. What are the biggest differences between Oulu and Tampere? As someone who was born and raised here and now you're living in Tampere for 5, 6 years.
Yeah, so I would say it's well, I haven't lived 5 to 6. I don't remember. Maybe 4 years I've lived in Tampere. But anyways, it doesn't matter. I think Oulu seems like a big town. To be honest, it's too. It's no offense, Oulu, but this is kind of like Texas of Finland, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Tampere seems like it's smaller, but it feels like a big city. It feels more cultured, you know.
Okay.
It feels like I don't know I don't know America enough to pull out Tex. Yeah, all feels like a Texas, but I don't know what Tampere feels like. It feels like a big city though.
And right now, how are you balancing your studies and your work life?
Well, they're kind of interconnected. So so basically, I recently did like a website for a client, and I get some study credits from that.
Oh,
So the system kind of it's like with entrepreneurship, it's interconnected. But to be honest, I don't really like. I have gotten credits in the school, and I don't know how I got them. Basically, it's a weird school I'm in Pro-Academia. It's weird because there doesn't seem to be any like rule.
concrete rules. Okay.
Yeah, concrete. Like there's teachers, and they all have a different way of like kind of making the students graduate. There's not like it's very confusing. I don't know how I get credits, but somehow credits just happen.
Okay, fair enough. And I was going to ask you, how important do you think networking is?
Networking.
Yeah, the
for
importance of networking
yeah. In terms of what?
as an entrepreneurship.
You mean? Can you more like
Yeah.
be more specific? with the
Yeah, my
question?
question is, how important is like for entrepreneurs to network?
Well, what are the benefits of networking for an entrepreneur? I would say it's you find clients that way, and also you like the thing about entrepreneurship. I have a like my feeling on it is this that a lot of people say that okay, you need to have an idea for a startup or you need to have an idea for a company. I don't think you do. I think you just need to find a problem that someone has and you build the startup or company around that. And the way you find problems is by networking and you talk to people and you understand, oh, what industry are you in? Oh, okay, you're in this industry. Okay, what problems do you have there? And then you kind of start from that.
And as you mentioned earlier in our talk, during your studies, you were separated in teams of 20 people. And what is the importance of like setting the team dynamics correctly straight from the beginning?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by team dynamics, but yeah, I'm not sure. Like, can you be more specific with the question?
Yeah,
Like,
so my question is straight from the beginning.
yeah.
Setting the team dynamics correctly. What's the importance of that? Like just so everyone is on the same page and everyone knows their role in the cooperativa and like what is expected
Well,
from them.
I would say what it's very tough, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of people, and I think what like in a perfect world, you sit down with the people and you discuss, okay, what is their vision, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and like everyone has a different answer, but this is mine. You discuss what is the vision for the thing, that what do we want to do, what do we want to accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not supposed to find a compromise. You're supposed to find something which every single person in that room agrees with. It could be, for example, we want to help, like an action statement, like we want to help internationals living in Tampere. That's what we want. That's the purpose of the company. And then you just see where that takes you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's that what you do is kind of irrelevant. It's about why you do it, right?
Yeah. And now it's like the end of the year, like 30th of December. What are your biggest accomplishments throughout this year?
Well, getting kicked out of school,
Okay.
I would say. No, well,
Jokes.
biggest accomplishment, I would say, I do, to be honest, the year went by so fast. I don't remember what I did. Like that's how I feel. What did I do? I
How it
don't
all
know.
started.
I don't even know what I did this year. I went. Okay, I can tell you one. I went. No, that was last year. Okay. Well, let's put it in more general terms. I think this year I have defined what is it that I want, like what type of entrepreneurship I want to do, which is I want to help digitalize companies.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, if that is written on my, this person, Juho helped digitalize companies. If that's on my gravestone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's I would be happy, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, that's what I figured out this year.
Digitalization of companies. All
Mhm.
right. And yeah, what plans do you have for next year?
Oh boy. Well, to visit the or get familiar with the Oulu startup
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial community. And also I did leave my, there's like an application, an open position in Tribe Tampere,
Okay.
the entrepreneurial community. There's like a team that kind of runs the place,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's changes. But I left an application there, so let's see what happens there. And also, yeah, so I guess this year I want to learn what exactly are the moving parts in the startup ecosystem so that I can travel to basically any country and either help with my knowledge to, you know, kind of advance the startup ecosystem. And, you know, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried this? I saw it work here. Or if I go to a country where there's, or a city where there is no, like you were talking, a very remote place, which I'm open to visiting, uh, I want to help establish that startup community there. So I want to get the tools in order to do that.
Okay. I would like you to ask for one book recommendation that had like a great impact.
Okay. So 12 Rules for Life by Jordan B. Peterson. I think that's a good book.
Yeah, indeed it is. I listened to it beginning of this year.
Hmm.
Yeah, and another thing, I would like to ask you for an event that's happening either in Oulu or in Tampere or like in Finland in the
Well,
upcoming months, and you're excited about.
Coding Sauna event. We actually,
Okay.
even though it's not the original organizers, there's a new organizer who kind of was or is still excited
Mhm.
about hosting those. And I just want to be in the background, just, you know, giving a
Help
thumbs
them.
up.
Okay.
But yeah, Coding Sauna events in Tampere.
When?
Uh, we don't know yet, but go to uh, find Coding Sauna on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and they will be posted there
Okay.
when the events are happening.
I'll just check quickly if the event is already there.
I mean, Coding Sauna has its own page on LinkedIn. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So if any events happen, they will be kind of publicized there.
So,
Not
second
found.
page. Maybe it's a group. Oh, okay, I found it. Is it this one?
No, it's actually another one. This is an old one, but just it's a group maybe.
Yeah, ones with
That
groups.
one.
This
It's
one.
that one.
Okay.
So that's it.
I just want to check if there's information there. Okay. 13th. It was 19th.
Yeah, but
Oh,
we're gonna
Sunday.
have them next year as well. So be on the lookout for the.
All right. Shout out to Coding Sauna.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, I still don't know how to close these, but yeah, thank you very much to the very few guys that made it to the
All
end.
the people.
All the people, yeah.
Don't say very few. All of them.
Yeah, thanks for watching or listening, and yeah, have a great new year as the episode will be live, let's say late January,
Okay.
around that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can close.
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks.